the world's oldest mother. She delivered her first child at 67 years and had a set of twins at 70 years.
Okay, so medical tourism, Uganda fertility. How did that idea come about?
Our foundation is basically on anything is possible with God, and age should not bound anyone. People at 50, KFC, can be able to start a business at 60 and it becomes global. Why can someone start a family at 60?
Gender picking children, making sure that there is a male heir. How do you deal with this? Having to hear the choices being made by people and thinking, well, I don't particularly agree.
We have a number of clients who come from the rural areas, whom they are not exposed as in the urban areas or the suburb about gender equality. So they still have the traditional beliefs of if I don't, I'm desperate. And if you do not help them, they run to other rudimentary methods.
Welcome back to the show. So as we start to uncover the whole essences of East Africa, I have journeyed back digitally from Uruguay back to Uganda. Now, many of you out there would have heard the interviews with some of the leading voices in Uganda, ranging from President Museveni through to Madvani family, the Metta family, Sudhir Rapalia, through to the Karias. But today I am joined by Juliet, who's going to be discussing something vitally important for the nation of Uganda and East Africa, which is having a look at health. So Juliet, without further ado, it's lovely to have you on today.
I'm so blessed. It's such a pleasure to be part of this. And I am so privileged to be part of it. And I would love to share to the world what Uganda has to offer in terms of health, what milestones we have had in terms of advanced reproductive technology. And we're catching up with globally and becoming a medical tourism site for reproductive and fertility treatment.
This is interesting, Juliet, because the big problem globally is that there are fertility problems, and that's increasing with time. And there's a variety of reasons for that. Some people claim that it could be because of the toxicity in the air, the water quality, plastics in the food. But what is causing this huge push, or is it the fact that we're having kids later on in life?
Okay, I'm not a doctor first and foremost, so I'm speaking on based on data on what is happening. Lifestyle has changed, what we eat. We eat a lot of GMOs, junk food, and of course, women have prioritized to have career first and have a family, and also settling down with the right person has also become a challenge. Getting the right partner to be able to share family with is coming later on in life for especially ladies. So they struggle a lot with that. So of course, as we grow compared to men, women, we get into menopause, and menopause is coming earlier. It used to be in the 50s, 60s. Now it's coming earlier, 40s, early 40s. So we encourage women to freeze their eggs so that when they're ready, they can be able to have children later on in life, no matter the circumstances, biologically.
Wow. Okay, so medical tourism, Uganda fertility. How did that idea come about? Because you don't typically think of Uganda for medical tourism, especially in fertility.
Okay, how it came about is when we had the first, or should I say, Africa's oldest mother, who is yet to be confirmed to be actually the world's oldest mother. She delivered her first child at 67 years and had a set of twins at 70 years at our facility.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. So it's at 70.
Yes, 70 years.
That's interesting.
Yes.
That's really interesting.
She longed to be a mother. Her husband, she had a husband who is Muslim, and she longed to have a child in the home. So she came to us and said, I want to have my dream before I leave this world. And we were more than happy to share that. And we gave her her first child at 67. Of course, we do the necessary medical checkups beforehand in terms of chronic conditions like hypertension, diabetes, to ensure that we're in check with everything and there are no miscarriages that can happen in this regard to ensure that the success rate is as high as possible. So she had her second, after the first child, she said, I can't have one child only. So she requested to have another child. And then she ended up with twins who are now making 2 years.
That's incredible. I suppose there's a lot of questions that people will be having about the ethics and how does it work with the age difference, but this isn't the type of podcast for that. So going on to the ideas then of medical, like for fertility, for medical tourism, how's Uganda been known as a center for medical tourism? Because on my
Yes.
journeys there, it wasn't something that came to the top of mind.
One of the things that made us is that in European countries, like in the UK, in the US, fertility treatment is quite expensive, almost
Yeah.
$150,000. And here, the average or cost is between $6,500 to $10,000, depending on the pre-existing conditions. So people travel, especially during this time when it's a summer holiday, and they come over for fertility assessment tests and eventually start treatment. And we've had a number of those. We have majority of our clients come from the Europe, like UK, US, Congo, yes. And we have a number of facilities in different East African and South African countries.
So what is it that you offer precisely then for fertility treatment?
Okay, for fertility treatment, we have a number of treatments that we offer. First and foremost, IVF. We offer IVF, which is approximately $6,500 to $10,000. Then we have genetics implementation, which is basically for sickle cells. We remove the gene so that you can have a sickle cell-free child, especially when both parents are either carriers or sicklers or either both. That is also quite important, especially in this day and age. So people are very concerned about that. We also offer gender selection. People want, in African tradition, the emphasis is majorly on having a boy child to be an heir. That is important for in the African tradition. So majority of the women who come say, I want to produce an heir for my husband. So they come and we are able to help them get a boy child or a girl child that they may want. We also offer egg and sperm freezing. We have gentlemen who may have accidents or have conditions and may require sperm freezing. Or if they're traveling to Europe for work over a long period of time, they can freeze their sperms and still be able to use them for IVF treatment if their wife is still here. Also, egg freezing for women who we advise between the ages of 30 to 40 years to freeze their eggs before menopause. Of course, then we offer maternity services, antenatal services to make it a comprehensive package that if we offer this fertility, we walk the journey with the parents up to even when the children are delivered, because we have pediatric services and neonatal ICU services, but to mention a few.
Is there has there ever been an ethical concern about the work that you do?
Of course, especially as I said, in African tradition, this is not typically something that has been, when you're breaking something, a new era of something, there's a lot of criticism, there's a lot of inquiry, there's a lot of, and those test tube babies, are they real babies? Can they really be? So there are lots of questions. This is not something that has been in Uganda for, we have been here for 20 years, but not everyone has embraced it. And there's stigma around it. Yes, you were going to ask a question.
I was going to say, with the stigma, then, how do you overcome that stigma, and how do people within the region be able to have their right to have a child, but in a way that is stigma free?
Okay. we are partnered with different organizations, and even we have clients. We have clients who offer testimonies. We have a number of clients who have offered testimonies, showing their faces. They don't want to hide, saying it is okay to struggle with this, and there are solutions to it. So that helps also break the stigma. And also, when we have more people coming out, giving awareness about this treatment, what is involved in it, are they real children? These are, we answer the frequently asked questions. What are the myths around it? Are they test tube babies? Are they real babies? Don't they have issues? What if, because now there's also the issue of donor eggs where a woman is unable to produce. So that also brings a lot of issues. But with more awareness, people get to know, and testimonials from clients who have been privileged to go through the service, it encourages women of men out there to come forth. And with more awareness, it helps a lot. Yes, please.
There was a huge Netflix show, and we had the guest on a while ago, and it was about the man who fathered 1,000 children and about sperm donors. You hear
Yes.
that, and then you hear about a fertility clinic, and rightly
Yeah.
or wrongly, you kind of put two and two together, and you equal to not 4 but 22. How do you ensure then that that fear isn't present in people's minds, that they know exactly what's taking place?
When we're very transparent, it's important that you're very open and transparent. Even when we retrieve the eggs, we show them, we often record some of these procedures for the client so that they know that they are genuine. Because even when someone freezes eggs, they're saying, are they really my eggs that you stored? Or they're someone else's eggs? So, and also there are ethical laws regarding how many times a gentleman is able to donate sperms. He cannot be coming to the clinic every month. We let
Yeah,
you like rejuvenate the so, and it depends on the quality of the sperms also before, or the semen before we can. So we do assessment tests and ensure that he's not fathering the whole country. He cannot be able to do that.
uh,
Yeah.
which was a massive concern in that documentary. Now, on a personal level, Juliet, how does it feel for you? Because you've spoken about a few things that are slightly contentious about gender picking children, making sure that there is a male heir. And in countries in particular, like India, for example, there was a big issue because everybody wanted boy children to the degree that even in some cases that happen across the world, China included as well, where female fetuses were taken out at later stages. How do you deal with this? Because it must be quite difficult, not as a business, but as a human being, having to hear the choices being made by people and thinking, well, I don't particularly agree, but ultimately you're paying and I have to go ahead with this.
Yes, and some, because it's also quite expensive for such a procedure. So if someone is able to pay for it, they desperately need it. And we do cancel. We do cancel the couples. We don't cancel one person. We cancel the couples and tell them about what procedures they are going to do and the possibility, because whether it's a male or female, especially in this day and age, they're able to do. But now we have a number of clients who come from the rural areas, whom as not a, they are not exposed as in the urban areas or the suburbs about gender equality. So they still have the traditional beliefs of, if I don't, I'm desperate. And if you do not help them, they run to other rudimentary methods like witch doctors, traditional healers, to find a way. Yeah.
That's interesting. What are some of
Yeah.
the worst cases that you've heard? Because obviously what you're providing is medical proof and saying
Yeah.
this is what you've got the eyes rolled there, so it must be horrific. But guide me
No,
through
no, I
what.
didn't roll. I looked down. There are a number of scenarios. We had a lady who delivered quadruplets, and one of the worst is leaving her children. She died before the children could make 5 years, and she had gone through the process. And there are people who try 15 times, 15 trials. it's mentally, psychologically draining, physically, because there are medicines that they have to take. So to watch someone go through that process is not easy. But the resilience to be keeping trying every time is something that we don't take for granted. And more or less, we often give free service at the end of it all for the endeavor to be able to try and keep on hoping, because majority of the times people try twice and give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that stands out to you about this all? Because I can imagine this isn't about just giving an opportunity for someone to have a living being, a child, but there's something much deeper. It's reflective about the society in which we live, and also the ideas around the society in which we live on what it means to be whole.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You have understood it. They feel hopeless. They feel they don't deserve to be in society because, as I already explained, stigma, especially married women. You're in a family, she has in-laws asking, why did you get married to a barren woman? There are lots of stories in that regard. And we have had also, because of the African tradition, some of the men may try elsewhere and they get children. And then you find that she has co-wives and they taunt her. Like in the Bible, we basically relate to what happens with Hagar and Sarah. Like, you get taunted and you are so desperate. You're like, I need to be a human being. I need to be recognized. I need this. I do not want to be labeled for the rest of my life that I am barren. I need to have something that I belong to. So you find very many, and the worst scenario is that people usually come because they have the perception that treatment is very expensive. So it is the last resort. So women usually come either premenopause, menopause, or close to menopause, where there's so many issues and the treatment becomes more expensive. So they first try other cheap herbs. We have a lot of herbalists in Uganda. So they often
Yeah.
give them a dose of, take this herbal medicine, take this. So they take it over time and then they feel better. Then they're like, maybe it's working. Then over time, the situation becomes worse. So more often than not, they come when they're desperate and in the final, like it's the last resort.
You've got the eyes and ears of a big audience out there, and this is about the game-changing ideas shaping East Africa. I can't imagine a larger idea than giving life to a human being. Now, how are you reshaping the way in which people look at East Africa, especially through fertility?
Okay. The first instance is to show that we are able to do it. We have the advanced technologies, not only in Europe, it's not
Yeah,
only in the US, that Africans, that a Ugandan doctor is able to initiate this and have this advanced technology, and also at an affordable rate that they are able to. So that's why we said we want to be the medical tourism hub for fertility treatment, where people can come and have hope. We recently had a Spanish lady coming, she's 60 years of age, coming all the way from Spain to Uganda to be able to get her IVF treatment.
well, and how did she find out about you?
Online, digital presence. We have a lot of digital presence. So she logged in, we're able to give her what are current laws about and she said, I really want to carry my own child. And we said, why not? Come, show us the tests that you're able to in terms of your blood pressure levels, in terms of your ability. We need to see if you'll be able to carry, you have the support system to be able
Yeah.
to. And she traveled and we were blessed.
Is that's what you touched on a point there. There's obviously
Yeah.
legal issues taking place in the
Mm,
UK and in
yeah.
Europe, and a lot of things, rightly or wrongly, are age bound. because it's saying about the welfare of the child. What are your thoughts about that? Are you of the opinion that actually it's a human right, or is it a societal thing? How do you navigate that?
As I said, where our foundation is basically on anything is possible with God, and age should not bound anyone. You like whether you're 60 and this is your dream. If people at 50, can be able to start a business at 60 and it becomes global, why can someone start a family at 60? We're breaking barriers, we're breaking walls now. And there are laws that are binding in several countries, especially in the European countries, that say no. Why should someone at 60, yet they soon are dying, have a family and leave that child to the vulnerability of another person? So, of course, those concerns are there. But here because of the African setting, a child is raised by a village. So, like the 70-year-old mother, she was like, my child will be raised by a village. I will share with you the video when she was welcomed back into her village and the children are being chanted and they're like, oh, our children are children. It was not her children, but the village. Those became the children of the village.
Ah, okay, I get it now because this is a, you're right. We often see the world as we are, not as it is. And culturally, if you have towards a look towards Africa, especially in places like Uganda, you still have that Ubuntu type of ideas.
Yeah.
Everybody is in this together. Whereas in Europe, it's slightly different. You are by yourself and you're operating.
Yes.
Julia, it's been absolutely magnificent because I know that it's a very contentious area, and people will be saying, if you're this age or that age, and then there's other people that use the ideas of religion. If you can't do it, then why should you force it? But the reality is, what you have done is provided a choice to people to say it's not for
Exactly.
everyone, absolutely. But if you do want to do it, here you go. There's so much of a wormhole to go down because it's never ending. But I do like to
True.
thank you for coming on and at least being
Too.
open about what you do as well, which is important.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to many of these interactions. I know there'll be several questions that are coming up, and will be more than glad to be able to answer them. And since I'm not a doctor, next time I hope we'll be privileged to be able to host our director, Dr. Edward Tamale Sali, who is a pioneer, but also a UK British citizen. So
Yeah,
he has been privileged to also work in different countries, and he worked in UK for a very long time. That's where he got his experience until he decided, let me bring it home. Let me bring it home. Not let me not leave it this side. Let me bring it home. So when he brought it home, look where we've come, and we thank God
that's
for that.
thank you very much, Julia.